going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Squawk and C's podcast, your favorite Pokemon podcaster's favorite Pokemon podcast. I am Kyle Cooper Rios, one of your two talking co-hosts heads here on this podcast, and I'm joined. Hey, man, I was trying something different. Didn't really land the plane. There's a little bit of turbulence on landing, but it's okay. That's on me. I'm man enough to accept that.
Co-head, co-hard. You're going
co-ed. We're a co-ed podcast.
No, are we a co-ed podcast? Do you have something?
We had Emily on once.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something to tell me. Okay.
No, I don't actually. That talking hollowed out shell where you hear the wind going through one ear and out the other is my co-host and friend, the Pony Bottle Champ, Mr. George Fabre. George, how you doing, pal?
Hi, man. I'm doing well. You know, I'm in the middle of a move, and if you guys can see behind me, it is a disaster in this apartment right now. But in a couple of days, it'll be ship-shop shape, and I'll be very happy. But
yeah, it's funny you're in the middle of a move and you haven't moved. No. One of your roommates left the nest.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my roommate that I lived with for almost 8 years put his big boy pants on and moved in with his girlfriend.
And here you are talking on your Pokemon podcast. Cheers.
Yeah, wouldn't change it for the world, though, you know?
Yeah, no, happy for your roommate. And now you get a bigger bedroom, thank God, and an office out of it because you are turning your old living space into a Fabre headquarters.
Yeah, so I actually I was working pretty hard to have it ready to record, but then unfortunately, for some reason, just because of the way things work out, the light in my room started flickering. So it's not like one of those lights either that you could just change the bulb because the bulb is out. It's like connected to the electricity in the apartment, so you have to get like a whole brand new lamp. I don't know. The landlord's coming tomorrow, so next week I will be in my office.
Yeah, hey, listen, I look forward to that for you, and I'm excited for you on that front. But yeah, we did not record an episode last week. It's the first episode of this podcast that we missed since we started about 3 months ago, which is crazy. It's been that long. So we missed, unfortunately, a great Thanksgiving episode. We were going to power rank our favorite Thanksgiving foods, but instead, we'll catch the people up here. So, George, I'll ask you, how was your Thanksgiving? Let me be the last person to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And how was your Thanksgiving? How things been for people that might not know that haven't spent as much time with you as I have?
Well, real quick, that's an interesting point. Like, where's the cutoff where you shouldn't be wishing anybody a happy Thanksgiving anymore?
That's a really good question. I'd say it's within 3 days after the fact. Like, I think. Within that weekend, you're allowed to wish someone a happy Thanksgiving.
Because one of my clients called me today, and I wish them a happy Thanksgiving because I haven't spoken to them. But I feel like tomorrow we're done with that.
Yeah, I think once we reach about like
today's the last day, you could do that.
Yeah, you're almost 5 business days removed from Thanksgiving, so I think that's a good way to go about it. I'm usually within that pocket. I like after within that first weekend, I was like, happy Thanksgiving. Anything after that, then I'll start saying happy holidays. Once December hits, then that's when we get into Christmas. So.
Are you a holiday guy or a Merry Christmas guy?
I'm a Merry Christmas guy.
Yeah.
I like Merry Christmas. So
I'm kind of the notion that Christmas has transformed outside of religion. It is more of an American holiday. Even though, like, maybe you don't celebrate it, there's just so much going on around everywhere that, like, you are celebrating Christmas, whether you kind of know it or not.
It's all capitalism. That's all it is. It's just it's like that's all it really boils down to.
But
It's like one,
but you know
no
what I
matter what
mean.
you call it.
You know what I
Yes,
mean.
I get what you're saying.
I think it's more Christmas is like the day of Christmas. Obviously, I think that's religious, and like that's a holiday to be like spent. But I think Christmas in America, as we know it today in 2024, is just the holiday season, and like you're celebrating Christmas if you live here in this country. But I don't know. It could just be capitalism. You're probably right. But anyway, my Thanksgiving was fantastic. And when I say fantastic, it's because it was like every other Thanksgiving where I do the same exact thing. And I love that people know my routine. I come in, I get the little, like salami plate, prosciutto plate with crackers, make myself a little plate, get myself a nice Dr. Pepper. You know, I love Dr. Pepper. And go sit and watch football. Then they're like, George, food is ready. Time to eat. Get my turkey, get my stuffing, my mashed potatoes. Go back to watch football. Fall asleep. Then go home. It's fantastic. I mean, you can't write it up any better.
Yeah, listen, you pretty much just read from the playbook of most of my Caucasian friends. Thanksgiving. So it's a lot of football, a lot of naps. But
How's Thanksgiving at the Rios, Helm?
it was good. We actually Thanksgiving is like a holiday my family and I take pretty seriously. There isn't like a whole lot of us like in this area, but a lot of my immediate family all lives in the area. So like I'll see like my aunts, my uncles, we'll see some family friends. Every now and then we'll get like a guest, like cousin that doesn't always come around for Thanksgiving, that we'll invite to the shindig. But this year was a little bit smaller than it's been in years past. A good portion of my family was in Puerto Rico for Thanksgiving. My aunt and my
Cool.
uncle and my sister and her family, they were in Puerto Rico. So um, Thanksgiving at my parents' place was just my parents, my brother and his wife, and then my two nephews. So it was very small, very low key, lots of cake. We also Thanksgiving also usually doubles as a piggyback for my father's birthday, which is a few days after Thanksgiving. So we usually just kind of combo the two together, and then we eat a lot of food, watch a lot of football. Obviously, not a great slate of games this year, to say the least.
No.
I wanted to watch a movie, but the movies I wanted to watch were not child appropriate, and my nephews have a habit of popping in and out whenever we want to watch movies. So was not going to be was not in the cards. But I also had to work the next day, so it's like I couldn't really enjoy Thanksgiving to the fullest.
Yeah.
So
So,
it was fun. I had a good time. Now
sounds like a really nice time, man, honestly.
it was. I like spending time with my family. So since I've moved out of the house, I really appreciate those holidays with my family
It's awesome.
a little bit more. But my least favorite part about the holidays is that I used to be one of those people when I went out on the Thanksgiving Eve, and then you run into all of your friends from high school that are home from the holidays, and then you kind of have to have those.
Yep.
You have to have those like memory skipping conversations of like, okay, you were who, and you knew, and what was your name again, and it's like. Then it's like, oh, you have to kind of like, at least if you're me, you have to rub elbows with the people that probably shoved you into lockers and stuff as a kid. And now it's like, oh wow, now we're 30. It's like weird, but did that a couple of years, hated it, never do it again.
Yeah, I go out. I went out on Thanksgiving Eve, but I live in Little Falls now, and it borders like the Caldwells in Fairfield. So there's like two high schools. There's like James Caldwell, which is like the Caldwell kids go there, and then West Essex. It's like where the West Caldwell and like or Fairfield. I don't know where it goes, right? But I worked at the Cloverleaf Tavern in Caldwell for like 6 years, and I know everybody in town. And it's actually hilarious that you bring that up because people are like, "Where did you go again? Did you go to James Caldwell? Or did you go to West Essex?" I'm like, "I'm from Clifton, brother. Like, I did not grow up around here." And they're like, "Oh shit, I thought you were from around here." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." So it's kind of funny that like I ran into a lot of people that I used to see a lot that used to go to the restaurant. So that was like probably pretty cool. So it was like a kind of different reunion kind of experience for me.
And I feel that that's fun. I'm sure it's much easier going out in those scenarios where you when you're a transplant and you don't have to run into those people, which is why it's like back when we would go to to that one bar by Highlander when we'd go every Friday. Shout out to Johnny's, cheapest place to get a beer in Boonton, New Jersey. And it's a fun little dive bar. But also I went to high school in Boonton, so Johnny's is the towny bar where all of your friends from high school still go to. So every time we've got in there, I've ran into someone that I know, and I'm just like, God, I really hope they don't recognize me since I'm not fat anymore.
Oh, so that's why you don't like to go to Johnny's.
I also don't like to go to Johnny's. I want to eat food.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to eat? Eat corn chips and chew on a plate for 15 minutes?
They got really terrible pizza.
It's I feel like all bar pizza is like not great.
That's not true, but it's not entirely true. There's a lot of places do really great bar pies. So
I've heard Patsy's has a very good bar pie.
Well, it's a little different, but yes. Yeah, they exist. Let's just put it that way. They exist. They are not one of them, though.
If you're ever looking for a food recommendation in a regional near you, George is our food expert on these trips that we go on.
I like to eat, and
yes, you do.
And I could suss out a restaurant real quick. You could say this place looks nice, and I'm like, no, they're faking it. They're not it. They're not it. So.
Well, there you go. That's it for our being adults section for the time being. Now let's move on to that local section that we usually do. We gotta have a chop fill episode for you guys today, so we got a lot to catch you up on. So since our last episode, George, our formats have officially changed over to Surging Sparks. Officially, I have entered a singular challenge in the Surging Sparks format. We both entered the Highlander challenge a couple of weeks ago. You have entered, I think, one more points sanctioned event than I have. I think you entered a cup over the weekend.
Yeah, I got second in a 6-person cup.
Hey, man, we take those. So.
I guess so. So weird. I played 3 gold dangos in a best of 3, and I won 2 and I lost 1. So
yeah, Cheese Man's going to be a hot topic of conversation later in the episode, but the Highlander Cup was fun for all of us because 4 out of the 5 top spots were taken by people in our group chat.
Yeah, well, that was a challenge, right?
Challenge. It was a challenge. Excuse me.
What'd you get? You got 3rd?
I got 3rd.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You were killing it with you're playing Reggie Drago, right?
I was playing Reggie Drago. I did my something that I think we don't talk. I like to talk about the local section for a reason, is because I think people that might be new to Pokemon TCG really need to it's just something I needed to get familiar with when I started, is that local metas are very much a thing. And while prepping for a regional, it is important to plan your deck around what a regional meta looks like, which is significantly different than what a local meta looks like. So I don't get to go to many point sanctioned events because I have a job that keeps me tied down on the weekend sometimes. So whenever I get to enter these things, I like to take them very seriously. So I knew there was a challenge coming up on a Friday, and I know from the people that like to go to Highlander, it's a lot of people that like to play Miraidon. It's a lot of people that like to play Pikachu. Pikachu has been a hot thing that we've been testing. That's been, making the rounds at Highlander recently. So I was like, I don't want to play Lugia. I think Lugia is a bad call this format just because Miraidon is very popular, which we'll get to in a bit. And not only is Miraidon popular, but Pikachu's its own archetype, which you have to worry about. So I was like, I don't want to play Lugia. And all the other decks I have just felt very, mediocre. So I hit up our good friend Omar. Shout out to our last guest on the podcast. Omar told me, he's like, hey, if you want to borrow my Reggie Drago deck, you can borrow it. Because at the time of me recording this, at the time of that happening, I still hadn't got my Reggie Drago cards back from after they found them in Baltimore. I've since got them back. Shout out to Gaming Gen. You guys are the best. Thank you and thank you to whoever has handed my deck box into the Lost and Found. You're an angel. I will buy you a beer one day.
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm still
good things happen to good people, man. I keep saying it. It's true.
It's a shame I'm so ugly still.
Stop it.
I can't win them all. It's fine. Yeah, so I entered with Reggie Drago. I went 4-1. I lost to Harrell because he's a loser. But
Cheater.
It's fine. He needs it more than I do.
He's
a stinky loser.
He cheats. Yeah.
But Reggie Drago.
He doesn't cheat. Jesus cheat.
He's not. Very handsome. Well, looks like a character. So let's not get carried away here. But no, I lost to a Harel. He was playing Palkia Dustnor, and it's a it's a V-Star matchup. I went second and I lost. It happens. But there's Reggie Drago is just broken. There is I did I it was just good. The deck teaches you good sequencing. It teaches you to do things the right way. You have options into everything. There's a game that I won where I drew past 3 times and I still managed to win the game somehow. There's a game where I was playing against Lost Box and I got to use Kyurem as like an actual attacker, which was cool. I quite literally hit the best Iono of my life, where I needed to hit Prime Catcher, Canceling Cologne, and Energy Switch to take 3 knockouts on some small guys on the Lost Box bench, and I hit quite literally all those cards. So I'm just like, I'm just him. I'm literally just him.
That's a hell of a feeling, isn't it?
The endorphins rush is insane and should be studied by scientists. But yeah, that was good. Reggie Drago, when the deck decides to work, it's good. I played it to a local last week, and I ran into 2 Gardevoirs and a Reggie and a Dragapult deck, and that was not fun. But now that the meta is a little bit more fleshed out in this Surging Sparks format, I have some better homework to copy. So, what about you, George? You're someone that's cracking down for a regional. Where's your head at right now? How are we feeling?
I mean, I'm pretty much locked in on my list at this point. But for that challenge, I played a crazy deck. I don't know if you remember what I was playing for that.
Do.
I was playing Terapagos Charizard. That was pretty freaking insane, to be honest with you. I went 3-1-1 with it though, and then when they posted the results, everybody in the group chat were like, "How'd you let this man go 3-1-1 with this garbage deck? What's wrong with you guys?" But honestly, I kind of like it. I've been playing with it online too with the anti version, but I will not bring that to Toronto because I would be absolutely insane and I would hate myself if I did. I have been playing Charizard. Shocker, right? Yeah, like seriously,
big shocker,
big shocker. Huge news dropped on the podcast. But my aspect is nothing that was seen in EUIC or Stuttgart or Sacramento. I am playing. Should I even leak it? I don't even know if I should leak it.
You're not going to. It's trolley. He's using the trolley.
I'm using the Precious Trolley. Precious Trolley is broken. Honestly, if you want to go first with it, and if you go first, you set up, you hopefully get Rotom, you draw 3. If you end up having to go second, and this is why I like the deck so much, it doesn't matter if you go first or second. So if I go second and I could get Arvin, Trolley, for Sealstone, brother, it is over. You are done. Like, you got no chance. I'm setting up Pidgeot. I'm going Charizard. I'm going Dustnor, Dusclops, Countercatcher. I'm getting all the things, and you just really can't do anything about it. I think the deck is absolutely broken. You played with it on Sunday. We had a little get together. The one game I Wonder Kissed you twice, and that was pretty nuts. But the other game you played it, you were like, "Oh, this deck is kind of busted," right?
Yeah, I think having the option of trolley just kind of reminds people how good Battle VIP Pass used to be. You basically just open 2.5 Battle VIP Pass, basically. So
yeah, I wonder where
it's not bad.
Wonder where you got that take from.
I don't know, some guy that ate too much Taco Bell in my apartment over the weekend. So. Surprised the pipes in my house still work, truthfully.
Dude, the sour cream didn't affect me. I don't know what happened. So
don't get any ideas. I don't want to hear. I don't want you to suddenly become a sour cream guy, and then it's round 3 of regional, and you're sweating profusely trying to keep it all together. So it's all fun and games till that happens.
Could you imagine? Oh God!
I can't think of a worse thing to happen to me than like I think it happened to me once when I was commentating somewhere, and I had to take the largest dump of my life. I thought I was gonna die. I straight up thought I was gonna die. It's like one of the worst feelings I've ever had. But anyway,
listen, this group of ours, we're not afraid to drop a load if we have to.
No, absolutely not. God bless that Airbnb you guys are staying in. It's gonna be a tough weekend for. Hope the pipes aren't frozen.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ!
um,
All right,
yeah, but
enough of that.
yeah, when the deck works, the deck works. It's still
Yeah,
Charizard. Charizard is
yeah.
still very strong. Obviously, the deck is able to do when as long as you have Charizard and a prayer, you have the options to do most things. So
Well. Speaking of Charizard, and like I don't know how much you want to go into it, but we could talk about some of the regions that we didn't speak about. EUIC Charizard did take the senior division home,
yep.
and then Sacramento wasn't a lot of it. It was a Reggie Drago fest. There was a couple in the top 16, but for the most part, for Sacramento, that was the first one with Surging
Surging Sparks
Sparks.
Legal.
I don't know if there's too much to talk about EUIC. I don't know if there's anything you want to mention there.
Yeah, the only thing I really wanted to touch on, obviously, you mentioned that Charizard won seniors. That was won at the hands of uh, Gabriel Fernandez, one of the best seniors on planet Earth right now. He's incredibly good. He's going to be a terror when he comes to Masters.
Yep.
But yeah, EUIC was strange. Again, it was a Reggie Drago fest. Five out of the top. Let's see, one, two, three, four, yeah, five out of the top 9 spots for Reggie Drago. I believe there was one asymmetrical cut here, I think, but there's a lot of Reggie Drago. Finals is a Reggie Drago mirror. Miloslav Puslensky from the Czech Republic took it over Mr. Worldwide Wet Goose Brent Tonneson. So pretty interesting stuff. I did like Miloslav's list. Shout out to my dude Ilya Kornilov from Finland, former Russian national champion, rocking the Cheese Man. So Cheese Man stonks are way up right now. Jackson Ford got 5th place with a fun take on Charizard with this played Secret Box as a spec. So fun stuff there. Jackson, a fun player from Canada. But yeah, Sacramento, a lot of that was it. Just felt so awkwardly placed. It felt like that EUIC should have been the start of when Surging Sparks became legal, but I think just the way that the scheduling worked out, it wasn't. So Sacramento was. Sacramento things are slightly more interesting, but also like kind of sort of not really. Again, it's 5 Reggie Dragos in the top 8. However, the interesting part of that is that none of them none of them won. So there's indeed 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finals with a Maridon mirror between Landon Kettler, former regional champion last season, the Portland regional champion, against Kenneth Gilman with one of the most expensive decks I've ever seen in my entire life, bro. Shout outs to Juan, our friend in our group chat, that said that the bling cost of his deck costs as much as an '01 Honda Civic.
Yeah,
which might be generous. Which is very
but interesting to see. In that tournament that we had a North American final, both Maridon. But if you look at the rest of the tournament and day 2 finishes, no other Maridon.
No. Yeah, there's a James Sims, I think, is the next highest place in Maridon in top 64. And I gotta say, Landon and Kenneth did play different lists. I do like the interesting inclusion in Kenneth's list was the inclusion of Irida in here. And he was on stream a couple of times, and I watched a lot of Sacramento live, and he really preached about the importance of thinning in this deck. Being able to thin out as many items and Pokemon as you can, being able to cherry pick those electric generators when you need them. Obviously, you still got to hit those. But both of these decks are playing the new Magneton. They're both playing Pikachu. They're both featuring Latias, cards that we figured were going to be very impactful in this deck. And Kenneth opted to play a Rotom, which is good considering that a lot of what him and Landon were both saying is that this deck wants to go second. This deck wants to blind first a lot of the time. So being able to build up a big hand side as Rotom is good stuff. Landon played a little bit more of a traditional lineup of supporters in his Maridon list. He played 4 Arvin, 4 Boss, 16 energies. So a lot of the same concept, but Maridon, as a lot of people predicted, is probably the deck that benefits the one of the decks that benefits the most out of Surging Sparks with the new cards it gets.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Kenneth's list, I think it was a little more imaginative, like you were kind of alluding to, mainly because the three Iridas and then the three water Pokemon that he did play with the Luminion, Radiant Greninja, and the Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle, big part of that deck because of that, free kind of gust action. Pretty big from Rhydon. Kenneth played Greninja, which I think Landon didn't, but then also getting Luminion,
Yeah.
for like a next turn setup, also pretty huge. I thought I liked Kenneth's list a little bit better, and I know he was like the hometown hero for the tournament, being from California. I think a lot of people are rooting for him. But the one thing I wanted to point out, Kyle, was both of them were running Secret Box. And I know that, people love to talk about these A specs. And it's kind of like, all right, we always ask the question, is it better than Prime Catcher? Yes, no, right? And I think the question needs to be asked now, is Secret Box an S tier A spec?
I think it might be, man. The way that I'm looking at it, this deck is just being able to get like one of basically of every type of archetype of card is very strong. Being able to get your supporter if you don't already have one. Stadiums are obviously very important nowadays, especially the decks that do play this card. Being able to get that area 0 and then just to give yourself that extra flexibility, especially in a deck like Miraidon that needs to play all these extra bench sitters now just to kind of get the deck off the ground. So I think this card is going from less of a niche archetype of ace spec that's only really good in a couple of archetypes. It's like, okay, no, this might legitimately just be an S tier ace spec card. I think it's that strong.
Yeah, I mean it's now won 2 regionals, right? Because Henry Chow won it with Guardy, and no one ever saw that one coming. And then in Miraidon now, you would always kind of just think, hey, Miraidon, we're playing Prime Catcher, but now with the Lottie SEX not needing that extra switch out, and then you add the bundle in there, for an extra gust. Secret Box makes a lot of sense. Let's go get a generator. Let's go get a supporter. Let's go get a stadium. Let's go get a bravery charm if we need it, and let's wreak havoc. I think Secret Box. I'm with you. S tier aspects. Well, and I think I still think beforehand, Unfair Stamp also was an S tier. And I think we can transition in talking a little bit about Stuttgart regionals this weekend, because both players there were also using Unfair Stamp, and we had a Finnish final. Charizard Mirror? Question mark?
Yeah, sure. They both had Charizard in the deck.
They both had Charizard in the deck. I don't really know, and I'm gonna let you say the second place player's name that was playing Pokestop, because I got no idea. I'm looking at that thing. That's out of my pay grade. I can't pronounce that one. I don't know if you got that. What's his name?
I did not watch the finals live, so I'm not sure myself. I believe it's Ajvind.
Ajvin sounds right.
Yeah, so let's go with that. Either way, it was a Charizard mirror. I will have to. One of us have to go back. I probably should have watched the finals stream to see.
Well, I watched the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I was very in there because obviously, Charizard's on the screen. My eyes are glued to the screen, and I need to figure it out. But listen, the amount of times this man Pokestopped away energy supporter Pokemon, I was like, "There's no way this makes any sense." So we had Michael Bo on a couple episodes back, and he did fairly well, almost hit top 64 with his Turbo Zard. I topped a couple cups with the thing with that deck list as well. I think it's a great deck list, Turbo Zard. This wasn't Turbozard, though. I don't know what the hell he was doing playing Pokestop. And then, I want to question it and be like, that's awful. But the guy comes in second. So, what? I don't understand. I don't know what to make of it.
It's tough. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the finals, and I did see the most tragic Pokestops. Like Pokestop is a fake card. I hate Pokemon Go. That card stinks. Even in the decks that it's good, that card stinks. But I don't know, man. It's tough. I mean, you play. I do. These decks are like very similar. In the first place list, Arnie. He's I believe he played this deck list to another regional he went to this season. He got top. He just missed out on top 64 at Gdansk with, I believe, the same list.
Yeah, but his list is like chalk, right? Like that's
Yeah, it's pretty chalk.
yeah,
Yeah, he's playing the 202 lineup. It's very standard Zard stuff.
yeah,
There isn't really a lot of tricks in here, which I think is fine. And I think this finals turned out to be very Zard friendly. Because if you look at if you look at the top 8 for this for Stuttgart, it's wacky, man. There was a lot of cooking this weekend. There's multiple Goldengo in top 8. There's a Cloth Terapagos in top 8. So I just became the most annoying person in the group chat this week because of this. And I just think when it comes to those like cheekier if you're playing a cheeky deck like that, you kind of have to hope that the dice rolls go your way, that you're not going to run into something that just completely stomps you. I think as better of a deck that Goldengo is now, I still think Charizard's a tough matchup for you. And Cloth is just one of those decks where it's like you have to really hit the combo pieces in the right order, otherwise Charizard again is just gonna blow your board to bits, and now you have to worry about Dusknoir, and then board wiping something you have to worry about. Charizard just being too big to knock out becomes a problem at some point. So I think I'm not surprised to see that it's a Charizard mirror here, given how the rest of the top cut shook out. But man, what a wacky top 8 this ended up being.
Did you see that match on stream? I don't know if you said you didn't catch a lot of it. The Gardevoir for Nathan Doyle.
I did not see that one. No,
He was rocking the trolley in there.
Oh, you know what? I saw that the trolley was in there. I did see that.
Yeah, interesting list. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. When I was watching him play, though, this dude is like in love with Fluttermane. I didn't really like understand why he was so hell bent on getting Fluttermane on every single trolley. It was kind of weird, but the other thing is this list and the 2 Charizard lists. One card that we haven't seen yet, and I wonder how it's going to affect Toronto. The Call Bell. What are your thoughts on the Call Bell, Kyle? Real or fake?
Yeah, Call Bell is weird, man. So for those of you not familiar with how this card works, Call Bell is a item card that can only be used if you go second and only during your first turn. And you can search your deck for a supporter card and reveal it. Now, I like this there's certain deck archetypes where I think this card works very well. I think in deck archetypes where you don't mind going second is very helpful. You play it in a heavy count so that way you find it. So I thought of when this card first got revealed in Surging Sparks, my mind went to, okay, Roaring Moon is a deck that can probably take advantage of this, because sometimes you need that Sada to help you carry over into your deck that likes going second anyway, and your deck that needs that supporter to kind of help aid you in getting that first turn attack off. In a deck like Gardevoir, I like it because that helps you get Arven or Iono if you maybe need to reset your hand. And then you're a deck that wants to discard cards as you go along anyway. So it's like, okay, if you get this card later, you can just refinement it away.
Right.
It's the same thing with Roaring Moon, where if you can trekking shoes into it, okay, it's an easy scrap to get rid of it. So I think this is another one of those cards where, like, I think in certain archetypes, I think this makes a lot of sense. Especially if I didn't watch a lot of Nathan's matches, but I'm assuming there's some matches where if you go second, it's like, okay, I can Call Bell, get Arven, I get Trolley, and then I'm all, you get Trolley Evolution, boom, congratulations, your board's set
Trolley
up,
Evolution, and let's get the 2 Curlies out and let's start rocking and rolling. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it makes sense. I don't think I could ever get behind it. I don't think. Okay, so we've seen cards like this. Obviously, we talked about Trolley being like a really good Battle VIP pass. Obviously, before rotation, Battle VIP pass was all the jazz. I don't see Call Bell being the same thing. Like, we have to play 3 or 4 Call Bell in our deck because we want to go second. But But the interesting thing about this whole thing, Kyle, is that a lot of decks nowadays, it's kind of a go first format.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so I think if you look at a whole, the decks that did well at the Stuttgart regional, they were fine. They were ready to go second.
Yeah. I agree. I think if you're looking at the decks that want to go second, the decks that want to go first, even if they get set up, if you set up like an all like single prize board state, you're probably doing okay. It's only really the turbo 2 prize decks that want to go second because they're the decks that can attack the fastest on turn 2. Now, granted, you can put yourself in some compromising situations against decks like Dustnor and Palkia, decks that like Lost Box that can, if they get to go, if you don't get your board established well enough on that second turn, you can find yourself in scenarios where you get board wiped. So I think that's also a risk that you pay, but also sometimes getting that supporter I think is worth it. I think if you're able to set up strong enough, then I don't think going second is necessarily bad for you. And I do think some of the best decks in the format, like we've seen, there are decks that now have flexibility that, hey, if I go first, I'm in good shape. But if I go second, I'm not a complete albatross in the water, which I think is important too. Having that flexibility, I think, is why this meta turned out to be a little bit more wide open than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and that's why, as we were talking about earlier, in my preparation for the Toronto Regionals in 2 weeks here, that's why I've kind of fallen in love with the Precious Trolley in Charizard, right? Because quite frankly, listen, if I open Ultra Ball, I'm going Luminion and I'm going Trolley and I'm putting that Forest Stillstone on the Luminion and I'm getting ready to go the next turn. Like,
get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Yeah, so. Like seriously, bro. And with Charizard, why it's so good, in my humble opinion, is I want you to knock me out. Make my day. Let me do 210 next turn. Let me pop a Dusclops and I'll knock you out. That's why in that cup I was doing so good. Like these Goldango players were like, I'll go first. I'm like, sure, go for it. Go nuts. Right? And I just go Trolley.
Sure.
Go Trolley, pop my Dusclops, counter catcher up your Goldango, and see you later. You're done. So
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Trolley, I think, is going to find its way into a lot more deck lists, I think. I think we're now starting to see, like we've been talking about, are there ace specs that might necessarily be, are Prime Catcher and Unfair Stamp like the top 2 of 2 in terms of ace specs? Yeah. But I think there's some flexibility here with some of the new ones they've introduced.
So let's do like would you mind? I know we didn't have this on the script, but maybe we could do a little impromptu. And yes, we do have a little bit of a script. If you guys were wondering, we're not just throwing shit at a wall here. But
no, we do plan.
We do plan.
We are professionals.
Professional, but
the clock's right twice a day.
There
you know what I'm saying?
Let's do a little impromptu, like tier list. So we talked about Secret Box earlier. Are we putting those 3 up in S tier? Prime Catcher, Unfair Stamp, Secret Box.
Yeah, I feel comfortable putting Secret Box in S tier now. I think that card is absolutely broken, in my opinion.
Okay, so. And then A tier. Would you say Trolley's in A tier now?
Yeah, I'd say my criteria for A tier is like A specs that are like, they're like fringe, like S tier, like things that are good at setting you up. I would say like that's a good one. I think it's hard to kind of rank them because I think there's the S tier and then it's just like there's like the good A specs. So I think I'd probably say Charlie's an A tier A spec, truthfully.
Is A tier, right? And then,
I'd say A tier.
Okay, and then what about some of the other one-offs that you see are being played right now? I guess we could say like Heroes Cape. Would you say that's A tier right now, or?
I'd put A. So I'd say there's S tier, there's A tier, and then there's my next tier of after that is like this sucks in 99% of decks, but in the one archetype that's good in, it's really good. And I think Heroes Cape might fall into that category. I think the archetypes where that card is good. You can see it. I think it maybe has like a little bit more flexibility than I'm giving it credit for. So maybe it is an A tier A spec, but I just think it's like I just feel like those decks that used to play that play other ace spec cards now. So
Yeah,
it's
I
tough.
would say I kind of agree with you. I would say Heroes Cape is more of a B tier, right? And then I would say like maybe Energy Search Pro is a B tier, right? Is there anything you can think of that might be an A tier right now? Maybe like Neo Upper. Would you say that's a new like
Nah, I wouldn't say that's an A tier personally.
that would probably be B as well. What about Legacy Energy? I think that would be A
Uh,
tier.
I'd say yeah, I think that's an A tier A spec. It's like I think in the archetypes that's good in, which is Lugia, you can really that's a really good one. I think A tier is good for like these. It's good for archetypes. It's just like okay, like these archetypes have a defined A spec card. Like these A specs have a defined home in a meta form, and I think Legacy Energy works best in a deck like Lugia, but it's really good in that deck. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
What are we missing? I mean, there's some new ones like the Megaton blower. I think that would be like a C tier. That's only really good in Archaludon right now, right?
The only other one I'd consider of like that's like in like the upper crust of Ace specs is Sparkling Crystal.
Sparkling Crystal. There you go. That's another one. I would say that's probably B tier as well, though, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's like that's in the one archetype it's good and it's really good. So I'd say I'd feel comfortable putting it in like the upper crust of stuff there.
Okay, so to like wrap it up, you would say, and I think we're pretty much on the same page here. S tier, Prime Catcher, Secret Box, and Unfair Stamp. A tier, we're saying only Trolley.
Let's.
And
It's tough.
I would say Legacy Energy is probably up there too.
Yeah, Legacy Energy is probably good in A tier. I can get behind that.
And then B tier, we would say like your Neo Uppers, Hero Cape, Energy Search Pro, and then like your C tiers would be your like Megaton Blower, Sparkling Crystal, and that's really it. I think everything else is just F and not really playable.
Yeah, the only other one I'd consider is like kind of playable is the Grand Tree because of the purpose of that has.
Grand
So
Tree, but I'd still
that's
say
probably like a C tier A spec, but everything else after that's like it's kind of just
yeah,
like
maybe the neutralization zone too.
neutralization zone. Just I don't like I just feel like I like the purpose of Grand Tree just a little bit better than neutralization zone.
So you still put that after. I'm with you on that too. But what about the dangerous laser? Do you think that fits anywhere in these upper options?
It fits perfectly under my cup as a coaster. That's the one of I will say the one card that I'm kind of like a little bit curious about. Two of them actually. It's Brilliant Blender and Scramble Switch.
Oh, the
I
blender,
feel like we haven't.
the blender.
I
Yeah.
feel like we haven't really hit the cap on how good those A specs are yet because the decks that they're popular in aren't really like good decks right now. The Blender is very popular in Cerula GX, and the Scramble Switch has found a home in Arcaludon EX. So I think both of those cards are maybe a little underrated right now. Scramble Switch saw some play back in the day when that was when it was reprinted way back in Plasma Storm. But
How did you pronounce that Pokemon?
Arcaludon.
Is that correct?
Well, the way that here's the thing. I don't know. My basis of Pokemon names usually falls on the anime. I listen to how it's pronounced in the anime, and then that's how I go about pronouncing it. Now, from what I've listened to from content creators and from the VGC streams that I watch, and from what I just kind of know, like phonetically of how Duraludon sounds,
Right.
Arcaludon just kind of rolls off the tongue. I've heard people say Arcaludon, and I'm just like, that's weird.
I
I
thought it
don't
was
like
like
the way that sounds.
Archaludon, like arch, like because it's like a bridge.
Maybe it's a hard ch, but I like the k. I don't know. I think Arcaludon just makes a little bit more sense.
Dude, when you
Or
said-
maybe I'm wrong. I
When
don't
you
know.
just said "cuz," that made me think of the Fast and Furious Paul Walker's like, I said, forget about a "cuz."
I said forget about a k.
I said, forget about a "cuz." Hello, what a movie, dude. Yeah, but so I agree with you. And the scramble switch, I actually just have one right here. Weird enough. that with the Archaludon, whatever that guy's name is, that dude. That's a different archetype though than you play it with the Megaton Blower. That one's playing with Dialga V Star, right?
Right, which I think, in my opinion, I don't think that's a bad call because being able to take that extra turn we've seen is very, very broken, and that's good in my opinion.
I
So
was watching Azul stream the other day, and someone scramble switched into Dialga V Star with 0 cards in deck, and then they V starred with Dialga, and they took the knockout, and then they took another turn and lost on deck out because they had 0 cards in deck. Is that the ultimate like legend way to go out, or what?
good night, sweet prince.
Yeah,
That's pretty sick. Yeah, a deck I saw was one of the best players in Europe, Ethan Wild, played Arcaludon to Stuttgart, got a top 64 finish, and he played Scramble Switch as his ace spec. Played the 1/1 line of Star You and Star Me, which is interesting. Which is interesting stuff. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how those deck archetypes pan out. But before we move on from Stuttgart, I think we've teased a bit. Like I mentioned, some fun decks in the top 8 here. You know, you've got to talk about Charizard. I'm going to talk about my goats, Cloth, which has found a very interesting home with Terapagos as a pairing partner. There's a lot of this deck here this weekend. It got a top 8 finish. Shout out to Robin Schultz, former world champion. It got several. It got one top 16 finish, a couple of flattering of top 32 finishes. Rahul Reddy, Lugia God, has been one of the, top ranked player in NA as of right now. At least he's in the top 3 for sure. Played Cloth this weekend, so this deck archetype seems real. Which is very interesting to me. Now Robin's list plays a lot of crazy cards in here. The Oranguru V is in here. The Genesect with the Ace Nullifier ability
yeah.
is in here, which I find fun. And Cloth is just it's a very strong deck in the right archetypes, and I think adding Terapagos into that equation kind of fixes a lot of the problems for this deck, which is kind of getting those KOs in the end game sometimes, which I think is fun. Again, this is one of those decks where it's like I feel like your run is only going to be as good as your matchup across from you is, because there's just some ungodly, like some really hard matchups when you're playing with Cloth and Terapagos. But Goldengo, I think it's time for Goldengo's time to shine as a really good deck in this format right now, George. You played a lot against it. I play a lot of it because I like the card. So where's your stock at on Goldengo?
Yeah, I think the list that came in 6th place by Owen Cameron, I think that may be the correct way to play it with the Energy Surge Pro and Palkia. I like that version because, the Radiant Greninja, and we were talking about this the other day, may be one of the best cards of all time. And
Yeah.
I feel like when you started just playing the 4 metal and then the 1 of every other energy was cute, but I feel like Goldengo had great success because of Greninja, right? Like, wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think what you got out of that deck before is that you had a much more resource-friendly attacker in Palkia V-Star. Palkia V-Star has got more HP. It hits for consistent damage. It saves your resources in the end game, so you can take a couple of early KOs without having to burn too much with Palkia V-Star in the early game. But then you also add in that wrinkle of, like you mentioned, of having the Radiant Greninja. Goldengo's MO since it came out has been, how can I cheat extra prize cards here?
Yeah.
Because the deck in a vacuum is very linear. You draw cards, you discard cards to knock things out. You don't really have any flexibility outside of that. Being able to hit the infinite scale is very, very strong. But that's only going to get you so far. And we've seen that in the past, some of the best variations of this deck is with the Palkia, and having that flexibility is like, okay, I can cheese some extra prize cards out here. I can keep a single prize board, protect my big guys and force you to go through a 1 prizer. which is strong. So I think I was waiting for someone to try to crack the code to see if Palkia could still work with the Energy Search Pro, because I still believe that is the best A Spec for Goldengo right now. And Owen, two-time regional champion, one of the best players in Europe. It makes a lot of sense as to how he was able to,
Yeah.
piece that together. And this is very similar to what I saw. One of my friends, Dario, he's from Canada. Him and Cyrus Davis, NAIC champion. She made something sort of similar to this. Maybe like one or two cards different.
So that's not your favorite version of this, though, right? I think you like the other one that came in eighth place by Antoine Boulet.
Yeah.
I think
Also known as Tuan Lei on Twitter.
Tuan-
So shout outs to Tuan.
Oh.
They are the leading translator for all of these late night TCG drops from Japan. So if you've ever seen me send you a translated tweet in the doc, it's Tuan's. So
I never put those two things together. But what I will say, though, is, yeah, big brain. You're a fan of the Wonder Kiss. Talk to me about the Wonder Kiss.
Yeah. So like I said, Goldengo's MO since this came out, like I said, has been how can I cheat an extra prize card here? And Palkia for a long time was a good way to do that. But now you see the introduction of Togekiss into the equation from Surging Sparks, the Wonder Kiss ability. Once you knock out your opponent's Pokemon, you activate Wonder's Kiss, you flip a coin. If it's heads, you take an extra prize card. So your one prizers become two prizers, your two prizers become three prizers. So Goldengo now has this other wrinkle where you are a deck that tries to win the game in 3 turns, essentially.
Yeah. And interesting enough, when I was playing against Goldengo, do you know how many times I bossed up Togekiss or Togepi, and I was like, "No, we're not going out like this. We're not." And it was usually like, okay, I would knock out a Gimme Ghoul, right? Take the first knockout on that, and then instead of going on odd prizes, I was like, I will just boss the Togepi, boss the Togekiss, and take that away, and then just go 2-2 Fez, Goldengo. What can I say? I'm a genius. But the the main thing, though, is I was playing it on Sunday, and against you, I hit 2 Wonder Kiss, and holy crap, is that a lot of fun. The Wonder Kiss, I mean, I feel like it kind of like emulates everything fun about the Pokemon TCG, right? You're flipping coins, rolling dice. Dude, and I hit the mute on that cough, dude. That was pretty good.
Good job, man.
Yeah, I'm getting a hang of this thing. It really, like I said, emulates like all the fun in Pokemon TCG. You're rolling dice, flipping coins, right? Taking that chance, and then getting heavily rewarded for it. And I remember when I played, the Roaring Moon list to Charlotte last year, or I guess that was this year, but last season, playing Pokemon Catcher. That's what I loved about that deck. Pokemon Catcher's so fun because you're getting such a great reward for such a great risk, and I think I think them printing Togekiss with Wonder Kiss was a really great job by the game creators, and I applaud them for it because it's really fun in a deck like Goldengo.
Yeah, and I think Goldengo is probably the deck that can take advantage of this the most. You can afford the deck space to do so. And like I said, sometimes you have to take that extra prize card, and this is what this deck helps you do a little bit better, because you can stack your deck with, say, for Maniac, to get into that. You can play the Irida to help get your rare candy if you don't already have so. And again, the Energy Search Pro just allows you to, on your second turn of the game, evolve on a Goldengo, get all your energy out of the deck for the most part, and then hit for big damage on your second turn. And then if you have Togekiss established, that just rewards you even further. So I think I like both archetypes of this deck, and I think it's healthier for a deck like Goldango that has a little bit more flexibility now. Because as someone that enjoys playing this deck, it's like, man, like what is this deck going to look like when Palkia rotates, when Barrel rotates? Is this deck going to have the same firepower that it did? And I think it's going to survive just fine, truthfully.
Yeah,
So
especially post rotation. I think this deck is a top archetype that you'll constantly see at top cuts in tournaments. But yeah, I mean, I think Stuttgart brought a lot of fun, right? We saw a lot of fun decks. We didn't even talk about the Iron Thorns Dragapult list. I don't really.
that deck's funny. It's
Yeah.
really it's funny.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much to say about it. We've seen it a few times now.
Yep.
Is it real? Maybe. I think you got to be
Big Brother's going to stand in front of these Pokemon and shut them off when you take all the time you need getting ready.
Yeah,
That's all.
I think you got to be a pretty good player though to do well with that. I don't think that's a deck that anybody can just pick up and start playing.
And Mads was the number 1 seed after Swiss going into Top Cut. So kudos to him. He came on the top there. And one last point. I want to Antoine Boulet. Tuan made Top Cut after entering day 2 at 5-1-2. So a lot of debate was whether if you have 2 ties going into day 2, are you going to be able to make Top Cut? And this showed that in the right circumstances, you can. So I think that kind of maybe I don't want to say put that theory to rest, because there could still be some crazy stuff that happens that could prevent that. That's probably not going to be an always the case thing, but Antoine went 4-0 on day 2 and found himself in contention for Top Cut.
Yeah, silence the haters a little bit on that one, and kind of a saving grace. I feel like Big Pikachu kind of needed that to happen to show that they do know what they're talking about, and they are one of the top media companies in the world for a reason. So,
shout out Goldango, that's my goat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I think what we should move on to now is some new cards that got leaked by the newest set in Japan, Terrestrial Festival EX. A lot of people were saying that this lists of cards that originally got leaked, saying that it was kind of mid, but hey, you're getting all the evolutions, so they're printing money. They really doubled down on this one, huh? They gave us a lot. This is probably one of the best collector sets seen in recent history.
Yeah, I think if you're a collector, you're like chomping at the bit to get your hands on this, because all these cards are gorgeous. And if you're a competitive person, this set really does avoid a lot of the problems that Evolving Skies had. The problem with those Evolving Skies cards is that a lot of those cards were also playable. So that's why I think a lot of those cards became expensive and hard to get. But for the most part, this is a reprint set. You're getting some cool looking cards you can add to your collection if you choose to do so. But in terms of new cards, there's really nothing super competitive here. I mean, jury's out on if the evolutions how good those will be. But a lot of these cards are just, they're just going to look pretty in your binder for the most part. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about them on our Squawk or Seas this week, because this is going to be coming out in our Prismatic Evolutions set in January. So I am very excited to get my hands on some of these. Now, George, you're not a bling guy,
No.
At least to this degree. So you're very simple. You like your little shiny play stance, and then you're going to go about your merry way. But.
Yeah, I just like the little Pokemon Play logo just to show them, like I'm a real player. I'm a player. I'm not a player. I just crush a lot,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you said it better than I do. I like these cards. I like bling in a very respectable means. So I think we're going to go through some of our favorites in here to talk about some of the reprint cards we get, and we're going to pick each other's brains on how we feel about artistic direction. So George, are you ready?
Yeah, one question, just so everybody knows where we're going here. Do you want to combine the Pokemon and the trainers, or do you want to do like 3 Pokemon, 3 trainers, and then like Squawker sees both of those?
Yeah, we could do that. Let's just separate the trainers, and in my opinion, the Pokemon are the real stars here. The trainers are fine, so we can maybe kind of. But if we can do a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah, I'll kick it off. One of my favorite arts here. I think it's like really sick, and this actually be if I ever play it, I think I actually would bling this out with this version. Believe it or not, the Dragapult EX.
Yeah, I'm gonna squawk this one. This looks really really cool. Um, and that's like and that's what I really like about the set. I think they're very purposely giving some love to some cards that didn't already have like illustration rares. This illustration rare of Dragapult is gorgeous. It's got that like shattered like gemstone like design. Dragapult looks very intimidating in here.
Yeah,
I just think in terms of just like art direction, this card looks absolutely gorgeous.
because it's like simple enough, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
not too busy.
it doesn't look like a secret art. I think that's why I liked it too. Because you know me, I don't like the super crazy art, but like this looks like it could just be a regular card. But it's obviously much more elevated than that.
Yeah, and I think some of the problem I have with the Terra full arts is that you kind of lose some of the personality of the Pokemon in there because they all look the same. They all have white backgrounds and they all have, the Pokemon in their full art stances. Whereas if you look at a full art card like Latias EX, that might be one of my favorite full arts in the set just because of the color that you get in the background. It looks like it just looks a lot cleaner in my opinion. And I think this is their way to kind of give some of those Pokemon a little bit more a little bit more love by giving them cards like this. So I like it a lot. Um, I'll pitch you one here, Georgie. Everybody's favorite uh, future Paradox Pokemon got another reprint. Got another card in this set. Are we squawking or seizing the SIR Iron Hands EX?
So I mean, I'm a huge fan of Kanye's album Graduation. So like the memes with that, the Iron Hands, like
It's so funny.
yeah, it's amazing. So I'm definitely squawking it for those reasons. I mean, it's also like kind of similar to the Dragapult where it's not super busy. I mean, it is a little bit more busy for sure, but I just love its pose, dude. Like just like taking off for flight, looking like in outer space. Obviously, it's in the area zero under depths because you see the crystals at the bottom. But I mean, the colors are just so like '90s as well, with like the
Yeah.
with the fluorescent like blues and yellows and pinks. It's just it's a sick card, dude. I mean, it's going to be hard to seize any of these. For ones that I'm going to seize are going to be for like not the art reasons, but for kind of reasons where I just kind of hate them for other things. So I'm sure we'll get to those. But this Iron
Yeah.
Hands, dude, it's absolutely perfect. It's a sick art.
Nah, it's cool. I like this a lot better than the other SIR Iron Hands, just because like you just get to see a little bit more detail in this one. I'll go out on a limb and say it. I don't like Iron Hands running through the wall. I think it looks kind of dumb, personally. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care if that's wrong. That's why I play the full art Iron Hands because I think they look cooler, personally. And this is really really nice. I agree. I think it's super sick.
Yeah. Let's stay with the future Pokemon because I think this one's a little underrated and people aren't really talking about it, but I think it's a very unique, different style. And they kind of stayed with the theme of the original full art with it too. The Iron Crowns SIR.
Yeah, this is a really nice one. I will also squawk this one. Um, because I agree. I do like the sort of subtle differences they put in here. They put it on a grid. It looks very math based. It is a little. It's not my like favorite because it's a little hard to kind of like. It blends it a little bit too well into the background, in my opinion. But it still looks really really pretty. I think Iron Crown in terms of the art that the cards have on it already. I think the full art is very underrated. This card stinks competitively. Like it's still not going to be very good, but it'll look good in your binder. So if you pull one of these, you should be very happy.
It depends if a future box archetype could ever make sense. If anything ever gets it, it could be good. But yeah, I'm with you too. I don't know if it's ever going to be competitive. So this might be one of those for collectors out there. what are those steals that you can buy pretty cheap and hold on to, get graded. If you get it graded well, you can have your nice little investment on your hands.
Now, I think I'm just going to give you one I'm going to seize right off the bat. How about that? You want to
Okay.
talk about one that I don't like?
Yeah. I'll see if I agree.
I think it's dumb that there's two SIR EVs in this set. I think it's a waste of time, personally.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they would do that. Why are you giving us like? It's just it makes I don't know. I just think that's a waste of a of an SIR slot.
So what do we squawk or seize both of them? I got a squawk one, seize one.
I mean, it's tough. So there's the 224 one, and then there's the 223 one, which is the one that we saw in that list of the other EV SIRs. I'll squawk SIR EV 223 just because I don't like how busy the other one is. It's a little too. It looks very. I don't know. Something about it looks very like uncanny. I don't really dig it.
I think I would seize both of them, honestly. They both kind of suck.
All right, that's valid. So,
Yeah.
all right. Now, there is one more I wanted to mention here, and I want to drop some lore for you on this one. I did mention this on our group chat earlier, but I don't know if you're a busy man with a job, so I don't know if you had time to read it today. So, a card that is near and dear to my heart, a card that I really like, and I'm waiting for someone to do the work for me on this deck, so I don't have to do it. So how do we feel about the SIR Palafin EX?
Oh, I don't know what you said about this. I did not read that. It does look kind of sick. Is it something with Tutsuhara, the illustrator?
Yes, Tetsuo Ohara, for those who are unfamiliar, is the manga artist for Fist of the North Star, which is
No
Fist
idea
of the
what that
North Star
means.
is one of my favorite anime of all time. So the fact that Tetsuo Ohara got his hands on a Pokemon card, and of course it's Palafin EX, it's very, very fitting. I just think this card looks sick, and Fist of the North Star rules. Everybody should read it or watch it if you're into that sort of thing.
So is that why he has so many fists?
Yeah, Fist of the North Star is like a post-apocalyptic, how do I describe it? It's like it's like a post-apocalyptic like 1990s. It's very it's very much like a Dragon Ball Z like esque show from like that time period. So if you're in that sort of thing, it's very, very cool.
Yeah. I would squawk it. I mean, I think it's a cool looking card. Obviously, you like it for other reasons, but I'll tell you one that I would have seized, and I'm surprised you didn't ask me. The Umbreon EX.
Yeah, I'm not in. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's okay. It's fine. This isn't going to pay the rent. That's why I don't like it. So
I hate it just because everything it stands for.
everyone's gonna look at this card like it's like the next coming of like it's like how every quarterback after Tom Brady, comes into the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be the chase card of the set as soon as it comes out. And honestly, like compared to the other arts, it's not as cool, and the card itself sucks. Like it's bad, and it's just Umbreon. Like I get it, Umbreon's awesome. I'm not saying anything against Umbreon as a Pokemon. I think it's very cool design. The art is pretty, but like everything it just stands for, like that's the problem with part of like the collector community for me. Like this shit is just so overhyped. It's I would seize that. What are you thinking?
it's fine. It's not as cool as I thought it was gonna look. It's definitely gonna be a chase card. All the evolutions are gonna be expensive for no reason. So, it's I am looking forward to it. So we'll wrap things up quickly. I think. How about you give us one more give us a trainer card that you like, and then give us a trainer card you really like, and then give us your favorite of the Pokemon cards.
So the one trainer that I really liked that I thought was interesting was the new Erie card.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, because she doesn't have on the mask.
Yeah.
I always thought the mask was kind of weird in a way, you know? So it's like, why is she wearing a mask? She looks like a pretty lady. I don't know. She's a child, though. I probably shouldn't say that. I don't know. But I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm going with this. But I just think it's cool that that is, to me, like an actual alternate art than it, because it's just such a different card. And then a Pokemon that I really liked, I did like the Iron Crown. I thought that one was really cool. I really did like the Iron Hands. The other one that I thought was pretty awesome was the Goldango.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's cooler than the one where he's standing on business, but the dude surfing with all the coins through the city, that's also pretty freaking tough, dude. Pretty tough.
Yeah, it's so hard, man. Goldango is like wins in terms of just like having a really good card so far. I agree. I think the one of him standing on business, especially with the match and Gimme Ghoul, is very strong. It's hard to deny that. But this also goes like it's stupid tough, this card. And I also agree that I like what they did with the with the cards like Airy, like Mela, where they show them in their school uniforms after they get enrolled back into the into the academies. Spoiler for those of you who haven't played the games yet, but I do like those cards. In terms of the trainer cards that I like the Polaroid esque full arts, the SIRs that they showed of like Lacey and Crispin. I like just like the designs of those cards because they're very different than what most like trainer SIRs look like. So I like the design of those. And in terms of Pokemon, I was going to say Goldengo, but you took the words right out of my mouth. So I got to give some love to the Goat Ceruledge. This card is gorgeous. It is an absolutely beautiful SIR, and we were promptly robbed of having a Ceruledge SIR in Surging Sparks, and I think that's mostly because that card and Sylveon came out in like EX Battle Deck equivalents, so full arts didn't technically exist yet. So I think this is their way of kind of compensating for that by giving you new card arts and new cards in these sets. And I just think this card looks like a painting. It is gorgeous. I will buy 4 copies of this and just to have just to look at them.
Amazing. Give me 14 of them.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them. A little busy for me, to be honest with you, on that one. But I could see why. I could see people liking it. You just can't really like see anything.
I guess to be fair, it is kind of hard because the picture quality is kind of crap. We didn't talk about like the ancient Pokemon. I think the Roaring Moon, all the ancient Pokemon arts look like cave paintings, which I think is really cool. The only one of these I'm like not in love with is the Sandy Shocks one because I personally think the other SIR Sandy Shocks is funnier. But I think all those cards look really nice.
I think Sandy Shocks is a stupid Pokemon, to be honest with you.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, all the Ogre Ponds cards are pretty trash too. No,
I don't love them. I also hate the gold cards. Those cards. I've never liked like gold full arts.
Disgusting, despicable, and
They're dog water.
And you know what? That Pikachu is going to be worth so much money for no reason.
Yeah, it's gonna pay the rent for sure. But I'm excited, man. I think I like that stuff. And also, from what I understand, there are, from what this article on Pokebeach is saying, at least in Japan, when you buy the set, there are God packs that come with this. So there's a hot possibility you can open some crazy stuff in there.
Oh, what about the promo, the Eevee promo full art?
That's fine.
I think it's cute.
It's okay.
It's
cute.
With the little Pikachu plushie there.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That is cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that card's good, though. That card's going to be very good if the evolutions can figure it out. Because the evolve in the turn that you play it, that's pretty busted ability.
That did see some play in the in a Pidgeot control deck that played on stream at Stuttgart. So there are some instances where that card might be playable. So I don't know. We'll see. Prismatic Evolutions is gonna cause my wallet several financial problems. But I'm excited to get my hands on some of these. I think the ones that I like, Goldengo is definitely going to be the one I'm going to try to get my hands on sooner than later. Just because that's my goat. And at the time of us recording this, San Antonio regionals will haven't gone up yet. So by the time the podcast comes out, it'll registration will be open. So if you got in, congratulations. If you didn't, we'll see what happens. I'm trying to go to San Antonio, so I will see what how that shakes out.
I'm probably going to wait till the second wave after Toronto. We'll see.
Hey man, let me know.
We'll see. I mean, Harrell wants to go to EUIC, and I've never been to London, so I am heavily considering that right now. So we'll see.
I don't want to go to Europe. I'd rather go to Texas. So.
I want to go to Texas too. I want to do everything. Can't do everything though. That's the problem.
Not with that attitude. So
yeah, I guess you're right.
All right, so that's going to be it for this week's episode, folks. Went a little bit longer just because we didn't have an episode last week. So, also I did the YouTube video with Omar had some editing issues that I've since been able to resolve. So by the time this episode's out, that video should already be out with Omar. So you guys can watch that on the YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify if you haven't already done so. And George, where can the people find you if they feel so inclined?
Pony Bottle Champ, PNYBTL Champ. On the X platform, on PTCGL Live. Also, Pony Ball Champ on TCG Pocket. I am goated at that game. And yeah, Kyle, where can we hear more about you and what you got going on?
Yeah, you can follow me on the X platform at Koopa NJ. I'm Koopa NJ across platforms. I'm a commentator that commentates for the Shuffle Squad. I am on late night every Wednesday, so stay tuned for this Wednesday night where I will hopefully be yapping over some not long games of Control because it's really hard to do that at 1 a.m, and I hate doing it sometimes. But hey, that's the meta we play sometimes. But yeah. Check me out there. We're approaching the end of 2024. 2025 is going to be fun for us. We're going to try to get to as many things as we can. And George is going to be on the ground in Toronto in a couple of weeks, so we can we'll look forward to more of that.
And I'll be trying to get a vlog going for the fans out there. So
I am excited and terrified. So we'll see how much of this footage I can actually use. God. All right, folks. So that's going to be it for us this week. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we will catch you guys next time. Good night, everyone.
Deuces.